Well, they're wrong, and numbers don't lie. Besides, we'd rather face an animal who runs on survival instincts than a human man who makes conscious decision to hurt women. Numbers may not lie, but people do lie and misrepresent numbers to fit a political narrative. Do you want to know the real reason why men, on average, unalive more women than bears? Because you're more likely to be around men than bears. I wonder if there is a way we could tell what would happen if you actively tried to be around bears as much as the average woman is around women. Oh wait, I've seen this movie before. We all know what actually happens. Seriously, don't act like if you saw both a man and a bear walking down the street, you would be more comfortable walking towards the bear than the man. And the reality is, women are arguably just as dangerous as men are. The only difference is women routinely get more lenient charges and sentences than their male counterparts. Did you hear about the woman in California not too long ago who stabbed her boyfriend over 100 times and didn't even get prison? Nope, the judge paroled her because she was intoxicated by marijuana. Or how about the fact there are multiple cases of women, teachers, grooming and molesting children, boys, getting pregnant, and then suing their victim once they turn 18 for back child support. All without ever seeing the inside of a prison. And then there's the fact that women by far commit the most filicide. That is when a parent their own child. And every time these stats are brought up, women always try to deflect about postpartum depression or, well, men leave. First of all, your mental health is not an excuse for unaliving a child. You know what happens when autistic men get exposed for trying to meet up with underage children? They get the same treatment as any other man trying to do that. And I'm pretty sure that the only reason you don't see as many women getting caught trying to meet up with underage children is because women are more likely to be blindly trusted with children. There's probably a whole bunch of female pedos that go unnoticed because nobody stops to think. Hell, when I was in preschool, my pre-K teachers used to assault me in front of my mom while she encouraged it, thinking I was just going to be a heartbreaker when I was older. And then there's the fact that according to the Domestic Violence Hotline and the CDC, hetero men are only slightly behind hetero women when it comes to reporting being the victim of domestic violence. All despite the fact that men make up the majority of convictions for domestic violence. So I don't want to hear anything about criminal justice stats, FBI, or the Department of Justice at all. Because here's another bombshell for you. The majority of the men in prison for violent crimes are black men committing crimes against other black men. And if your response to that is something about systemic racist or criminal justice bias, there you go, sport. You're getting your data from a biased system that does not treat everybody equally. Now, when we factor in homosexual relationships into the data from the Domestic Violence Hotline and the CDC, what we notice is that lesbians far outpace heterosexual couples in general when it comes to domestic violence. All while gay men have the lowest rate of domestic violence overall. And like I said at the beginning of the video, numbers don't lie, but people do lie about numbers. So let me make it very clear. Just because lesbians report the highest rate of domestic violence does not mean that lesbians are more likely to abuse their partners. As we already discussed, women are essentially handled with kid gloves by the justice system. Meaning that when a lesbian abuses her girlfriend, she's far less likely to go to prison for it or be arrested. So even if one lesbian abuser has a partner who leaves, she's already on the streets to find another victim to fill the role. Then there's another factor. Most men don't report the fact that they were abused. Some men probably don't even recognize when they're being abused because for some reason, we still teach boys that they can't even defend themselves when a girl hits them because boys can't hit girls. And whether y'all like it or not, lots of women pick that up and run with it throughout their adult life. And unlike male abusers, female abusers are more likely to use weapons. Anything from kitchen knives to rolling pins to glass bottles and shoes, they've all been used by women in domestic violence situations. And despite all this, Only 1 out of 10 hetero men who are abused by their partner come forward or try to go to the police. And of that small 10%, 2 out of 3 of them end up getting falsely accused by their partner. You see, when you actually look at the data from all different angles and take the deep dive into the various nuances, you start to realize that women are not innocent in all this. It's just that female abusers and predators get away with their behavior infinitely more. Everybody blindly believed Amber Heard when she falsely accused Johnny Depp of abusing her. All in spite of the fact that prior to her relationship with Johnny Depp, she was arrested at a Seattle airport for abusing her then girlfriend, Tasha Van Reese. And just like with Johnny Depp, she tried to get away with it by using false accusations to cover up her own abusive behavior. The only problem was the person she falsely accused was the arresting officer, and she accused her of being a homophobic. You want to know the plot twist? The arresting officer was a lesbian who taught classes to lesbians about domestic violence. Sounds like the city of Seattle has had run-ins like this before, so they had a specialist on standby to make sure no funny business went down. And even then, the justice system failed because they let Amber Heard go with a slap on the wrist. No matter how you want to look at it, women are as much of a threat to each other, and even worse, children, as men are. And above all, criminal men, violent men, are more likely to abuse other men instead of women. And there's a good reason for that. Any hardened criminal will tell you they don't respect women beaters and child molesters in prison. If you've done anything to women or children and you go to prison for it, you're gonna have hell to pay in there. And like I said earlier, men are taught from a young age, do not hit women. Do we teach the same thing to little girls, or do we let them get away with violent behavior? So, no. This bears are safer than men thing that y'all got going on isn't rooted in logic and facts. It's rooted in sexism. Bottom line, if you have such a low opinion of the opposite sex that you literally think it is safer and less dangerous to be around one of the biggest and most lethal predators on the planet, you're sexist. Plain and simple.